Hi students, and welcome again to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Again, I hope that everybody is having a great start to their weekend, a great start to the Chinese New Year as well. Welcome Helen Redhum. Nice to see many students in the class. Fuang, Silviana, good to see members. Sarah, good to see our chat moderator in here as well. Students, we are doing a heavy focus on reading today. We just finished a reading passage and we're going to get into another reading passage from the academic IELTS. Now, general IELTS students, keep in mind that your reading section 3 is very, very similar to the academic IELTS reading passages. So this class will be very helpful for you as well. The materials that we are looking at, that we are using, is taken from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. These are basically the textbooks, the materials that we constantly or consistently use in these live classes. Make sure to sign up for the premium package. You can do that by clicking the big red button that's just right above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We don't believe in subscriptions. We just want to give you the materials that you need so you can learn from them every day as long as you need to pass your IELTS exam. We're an IDP affiliate, British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. I'm a certified British Council agent, and we have helped thousands of students succeed in their exams. You can read about their stories here if you're interested, and there are lots of them. This is what makes us happy. This is what motivates us to help you, are these success stories. For the general IELTS, check out gieltshelp.com. Again, it's this big red button here that's just above my head. And again, it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Doesn't cost a lot. You just click that big red button and you're off to the races. We will use the website to interact with each other a little bit later on. Hi again, Romelia. Nice to see you in the class. Students, we have apps for you. The apps will link to your web accounts. Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. We have Instagram, IELTS_AHelp, GIELTS Help. And if you have questions that are not answered in these classes, by all means, send an email to adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. If you like paper books, we got that too. Go to Amazon and look for AHelp's Academic IELTS or GE Help's General IELTS. So we've got all the tools that you need to get yourself ready to be confident on the test. Students, tomorrow we will have some speaking classes as well. By the way, this is a subscribers chat class, so everybody watching, you have to subscribe to join the chat. Subscribing to a YouTube channel is free, and definitely if you are getting ready for IELTS, you want to subscribe. We have over 2 million subscribers on our YouTube channel. There's a good reason for that, because there's a lot of great content that you can access for free from our channel to help you get ready for your upcoming tests. The weekly release from last week is this one here. I'm putting it into the chat, and we'll have another one for you shortly in the next day or two as well. All right, everybody, reading strategies. Anybody remember from the class that we just had what the first strategy is when you get to your reading section and you're looking at a reading passage? So let's do a little refresher. I want to make sure I'm not just yakking and yakking and yakking. I want to make sure that you're paying attention and picking up the information from the class. So in the class we just had for the reading passage about the world's tallest building, where we were looking at list of headings questions, what was the first strategy? What was the first tip that I gave you? And I know some of the students from that class are here. So what was the first tip? I said you should always do this as your first step. Let's see. Smith says scamming and skinning. Scamming and skinning. Do you mean scanning and skimming? That's funny, Smith. No, definitely don't scam and skim. Don't scan and skim. Okay. Read the title, says Vinith. Iqbal says, read the title. Sylviana says, read the title, read the title. Everybody says, read the title. Yes, absolutely. So here we go. This is the reading passage for today. We're going to read the title. Let's do it. Let's read it together. Okay. Charity, always a positive good. Okay. That title I might just read again. Charity, always a positive good. All right. That's a very good title. We can work with that. So here's our title, Charity. What is a charity, first of all? Let's make sure everybody knows that, okay, before we discuss it and before we read. Lamia, exactly. You want to think critically about the title. Exactly. Lamia, I think you're the one who bought the speaking interview practice session too recently, so I'm looking forward to that. If you're not, let me know, but I'm pretty sure that was you, so that's great. Lamia, that's right, donations. Harjat says it's donations, giving money to the needy. That's what Raquia says. So it's giving money for something, right, Raquia? So giving money where it is much needed. Or said in another way, donations. Yeah. And it's not necessarily money. I guess you can donate food as well, right? For instance, yeah. Oh, it is you, Lamia. That's great. All right. So that's what a charity is. Now, clearly here, the examiner is asking us this question, right? Okay. What kind of a question is this? So, questions, there are different types of questions. Let me put it to you this way. Do you know what I mean when I say it's a rhetorical question? Does anybody know what that means? A rhetorical question. If you know the word rhetoric, for those of you who speak Latin-based languages, Spanish, Italian, French, you'll probably be able to guess what this means. A rhetorical question. What is a rhetorical question? Yeah, Andrew, very good. Andrew says, that's a rhetorical question. What does that mean? What does it mean to have a rhetorical question? Okay, Alexander says it's kind of provocative. Yes, it's an arguable provocative question. And Alexander means it's a question that doesn't necessarily mean or doesn't necessarily need an answer. It probably has an answer. The answer is mostly obvious. Yes, that's a rhetorical question. So a rhetorical question is like, would you like me to give you $1 million? It's a rhetorical question, right? It's like, yeah, give me $1 million, right? So it's a rhetorical question. It's also a loaded question in this case. Does anybody know what a loaded question means? Okay, and sometimes authors will do this when they're creating the title of a passage, is they'll ask a rhetorical question or a loaded question. Nashed, that's an example. It's a sad one, but yes, Nashed says it's like saying, will you stop hitting your wife? Yeah, oh my God, Nashed, yes. Raquel says loaded with thinking. This is where you're a little bit, I can't remember who said provocative. I think, that was Alexander. So loaded question is one that's a bit provocative. It's intended to get a reaction from the audience, right? So it's a provocative question that is intended to get a reaction from the listener. Okay, so it's a rhetorical and loaded question. Charity, always a positive good? Well, what do you think is the answer that the author is expecting here? Okay, yes, Renato, that's right. It's a thought-provoking question. It's a thought-provoking question. Exactly. So, charity, always a positive good. This is the title of our passage today. What do you think the answer to this question is, or what do you think the expected answer is that kind of makes us frustrated, that gets us into this thinking and argumentative mood? Okay. Yeah, so Andrew's saying the author is trying to doubt this, right? So the author is likely going to doubt that charities always lead to good. The author will likely state that charities or charitable donations can have a negative effect. Okay? Now, students, in the real IELTS exam, this is happening quickly, okay? So your brain is turning, twisting, and you realize, okay, this is a question, it's a loaded question, it's a rhetorical question. The author's likely going to say it's not always good. Why then, right? Immediately you jump to the why question. So why not? What's the logic here? So why might donations not always lead to positive outcomes? Okay, so give me some answers for this, because what you're coming up with at this point, so what you're thinking about is likely going to be some of the key points in the passage, and very likely some of the answers to the questions following the passage. So you want to predict this, okay? You definitely as a human being want to always progress your critical thinking and your inferencing, your predictive thinking, okay? That leads to great results and success in life, right? If I could only predict the stock market every single day. Okay. Alexander says, lazy people will stay lazy. Alexander, I'm not sure if lazy people will stay lazy, but people might become lazy or might become dependent, okay? So people may become dependent on charity. Yeah. So we disempower, okay? The word is disempower. It may lead to disempowerment. There's a nice word for you in English. Disempower means you take the power away from the individual to thrive, to do on their own, right? So students, when you're hearing these words that I'm using, and especially when you hear new words, make sure to say them, right? So power, empower, disempower. Okay, power, right? Strength. Empower means to give power. Disempower means to take away the ability for power. Okay. Nasha, very good. Nasha says people may become dependent or disempowered. Okay. Harjot says NGOs can use it for their personal use instead of using it to help needy people. Yes, there are definitely a few very wealthy NGOs out there that are non-profit, yet they're worth billions of dollars. What? You're worth billions of dollars, but you're non-profit? It's difficult, right? So organizations and individuals may take advantage of charities or of donations. Yes, absolutely. Okay, and then you want to think about the how, right? So how does that happen? Well, if you keep giving people free money, quote unquote, then they're going to say, hey, just keep giving me free money. I'm not going to work. That's fantastic, right? Arjun says it leads to greed. Yeah, so those are possible negatives of charities, right? Okay, so now that we have those ideas, we can take the next step and we can look at the questions. Now, the first question, okay, it says reading passage 1 has 5 paragraphs, A to E. Yeah, there's E, so definitely 5. Which paragraph contains the following information? Now, make sure to read with me, everybody. This is reading, okay? And note, by the way, NB, note, by the way. You may use any letter more than once. So, okay, we've got 5 choices, but it doesn't mean that there's one for each paragraph. It could be that one paragraph has no content here, and 2 of these answers are for the same paragraph, okay? So, careful with that. Read with me. Number 14, the false portrayal of people in third world countries. The unseen negative effects of donating food. The unethical nature of some research. Charity can increase poverty instead of decreasing it. Finding cures does not earn money for companies. Okay, so the false portrayal, the incorrect depiction of citizens in developing nations. See what I just did there? This is the original question, and I just paraphrased it. False, incorrect, portrayal, depiction. If you don't know the word portrayal, think about the word portrait. Portrait, a picture of a person, right? Of people, instead of people, citizens, in third world countries. So third world, it's not politically correct so much anymore to say third world countries, but it's understandable. It means countries that are still developing, that still need to build more infrastructure, education, law, government in order to be a stable society, right? Students, you want to paraphrase. So this is what you want to do at home when you see this type of question. You paraphrase it, okay? The unseen negative effects of donating food, okay? So the unpredictable disadvantage or harm is maybe even better, harm of giving food. Okay? Keep it simple. Doesn't have to be complicated. All right? The unethical nature of some research. Okay? The immoral structure or the immoral intent of some experiments. Sure. Charity can increase poverty instead of decreasing it. Wow, yeah, isn't that ever true? Governments printed a whole ton of money during COVID to help people survive COVID, and suddenly we're in inflation and recession. Maybe we shouldn't have printed all that money. That was charity by the government, right? Suddenly people became needy because they lost their jobs. The government printed money. Anyway, that's a complicated case, but thinking about these real world examples helps you to understand the content, right? So charity, okay? So giving money, ironically, of course, can increase poverty or people being poor. Right? Okay, finding cures does not earn money for companies. All right, so healing people does not make a profit. Very sad, but true, for companies. Yeah. If you find a way to heal people, make them healthy, Well, some companies aren't going to be happy about that because, well, you don't need to. Let's not bring up the COVID example again. You can definitely get my position on that. Okay, so healing people does not make a profit for companies. Okay. Good. So you paraphrase as best as you can. In the real test, you're doing it just in your head. Okay, you look at these, you quickly paraphrase them in your head. You can't skim and scan for these students because you don't know. Number 14 could be the last paragraph. Number 15 could be the second to last paragraph. Number 18 could be the first paragraph. So you don't want to read the passage 6 times or scan it 7 times to figure this out. You just want to read the passage once, understand it, get a good idea of where the information is, and then you are able to quickly answer these questions, okay? So I see some nice paraphrasing in our chat. Chayani says, recovering people's health does not give merits for companies. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. And then we've got the next question here. Complete the sentences below. Again, all of this information is found somewhere in the passage, so we want to read this. Number 19. While charity is considered an intrinsic good by many people, others, something its effectiveness. Don't guess, just leave it blank for now. Even in your head, just leave it up blank, okay? Don't try to put words in like others argue or others doubt or others disbelieve. Don't try to do that, okay? Don't try to guess it. Just complete blank, okay? Leave it blank for now. Companies have something to make products that are profitable. 98.5% of money donated to curing breast cancer actually goes towards finding treatments which only something a patient's life but do not cure them. 22. The author argues that the practice of spending money on extending sick people's lives is something because they should be finding a cure instead. Okay. Next set of questions, complete the summary using the list of words, A to H. Don't worry about the list of words. They can confuse you. There's some wrong choices. Just read the paragraph. Okay, so food aid in Haiti. All right, let's do it. A well-known example of aid gone wrong is the donation of rice to the Caribbean nation of Haiti. The aid began at a time when Haiti was experiencing a food something, so the aid was well received. There were, however, unseen effects of this intervention. Rice became so prevalent that Haitians started eating it something. This resulted in many Haitian farmers going something, which put even more people in poverty. Who has benefited by this practice? We must think something before giving to charity because often we do not know the consequences of our actions. All right. So from the questions, you need to get a clear picture, of what's going on. So here, clearly it's a loaded question. It's clearly a rhetorical question. There are definitely some seemingly negatives to charity. And we will have some examples of this, right? So like breast cancer, or rice donations in Haiti. All right, let's get ready to read, students. So we'll go back to the top here. Now, last class, we had students reading the paragraphs for the list of headings. This time, we're going to have a British speaker. I think it's British. It could be somebody from New Zealand as well. The IELTS, mostly British, but sometimes you hear a Canadian accent, an Australian accent, a Kiwi accent. Kiwi is the New Zealand accent, but we'll see in just a moment here. So we're going to hop back to our website. Again, to join our premium IELTS on our website, just click that big red button. It's right up there. Do yourself a favor. And get learning with some good materials. Spend a couple dollars to save a lot of money on the IELTS. All right, you go to your My Student account, and in your My Student account, you've got your computer-based practice exams, your full online course, you've got paper exams that you can print, PDFs, lesson videos, strategies for all the parts. And then you've got the audio CDs. And the audio CDs, and listen up, premium students, because I think many of you missed this. You have all of the CDs for the listening sections, but you also have for learning. Now, you don't have this in the real IELTS, but for training, we included this with our materials, is you have all of the reading passages for the exams, okay, with the British speaker. So when you check your test, you'll see that it says here, CD 6, track 6, okay? So when you're on the website, you scroll down to CD 6, track 6, and it should be your reading for charities. Okay, so everybody read here. The goal is not just to listen, but read along with this reader, and then we'll go through the questions and answers together. Okay, so here we go, everybody. Get reading.
Charity, always a positive good? Giving money to charity, whether it's cancer research, humanitarian aid, or something else, is accepted by the vast majority of people as an intrinsic good. Though we sometimes do cast a doubtful eye towards the practice of charity, that is to say, the proportion of donated funds that reach the intended source, the intended effects on the source are almost never doubted. People need help, and charity helps them. This is uncontroversial. Or is it? Some people argue giving to cancer charities does little more than line the pockets of pharmaceutical companies. Meanwhile, others argue that giving to humanitarian aid charities does not improve, but actually worsens the lives of those affected by the charity. The most well-funded cancer research, by far, is for breast cancer. There are innumerable charities associated with raising money for breast cancer research. But unfortunately, almost all of this money goes not towards finding a cure, but finding treatments that extend a patient's life. Because the monies raised by most charities end up in private research companies, these companies have a financial incentive to produce medications which are profitable. Unfortunately, for those among us who are suffering and will suffer from breast cancer and other cancers, finding a cure is simply not profitable. As it turns out, 97% of money that actually contributes to breast cancer research, that is, not counting a charity's operating costs, for example, is spent on treatments that merely extend the patient's life by a matter of weeks. Given that charity overhead is often 50% or more, the math works out like this. For every £100 given towards finding a cure for breast cancer, only £1.50 or 1.5% of that money goes to actually finding a cure for breast cancer. The actual number, depending on the particular charity, may be even less. Should research laboratories really be spending hundreds of millions of pounds on merely extending a sick person's life? Ethically, the answer is no. Instead, they should be spending that money on actually trying to find a cure, so that the sick person does not merely have 2 torturous weeks longer to endure, but decades of vibrant, healthy life ahead of him. Cancer research is one example of the fallibility of giving to charity. Giving to humanitarian aid charities is another. The Western world is showered with television adverts for humanitarian charities. These charities depict countries in Africa and Central America as completely destitute, full of abject poverty, and absolutely helpless without the help of the Western world. This depiction is not only grossly misleading, but also creates a dangerous perception of the Third World as utterly helpless and utterly dependent. This perception leads to the unquestioning acceptance of charities as a positive good, since they are helping what are perceived to be helpless people. But the truth is that people in the Third World are not helpless at all. However, treating them as helpless can, in fact, turn them into helpless people. One of the most famous examples of humanitarian aid gone wrong is the donation of rice to Haiti. It was meant, of course, as a positive good for the Haitian people. There was a food shortage, and the donated rice helped solve the problem. Actions, however, have effects, and sometimes these effects are unforeseen. Before the food shortage, Haitians ate rice on average of 1 time per week. Since the aid started, Haitians now eat rice for almost every meal, every day of the week. Because the rice is free, or available for nominally low prices from local vendors, the Haitian people consume it to the exclusion of almost all other foodstuffs. The effect of this is to not only bankrupt the rice farmers of Haiti, of which there were previously many, but also to bankrupt huge swaths of the local food industry. This is because, with free rice flooding the market, people are going to eat the rice and not spend money on other food items, which are much more expensive. This results in local farmers and producers not being able to make money, and thus they go out of business. This has the effect of turning the farmers into the very kind of needy people that the aid was supposed to help in the first place. The act of charity did not reduce poverty in the country. It actually increased it greatly. Breast cancer research and humanitarian aid are just 2 examples of charities gone wrong. However, the intent of this article is not to dissuade people from giving to charity. Conversely, the intent is to make people think more critically about where their charity monies go. Who is being benefited? Who is being harmed? What are the unforeseen consequences? Thinking critically about charity is the first step in truly helping those in need.
Painting the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel, named after Pope
All right, we'll leave the Sistine Chapel for another time, and we'll focus on the questions for this. So again, we're using ahelp.com. By the way, students, if you see this red button here, that means that you can register for your IELTS exam to do it from home. I think there's about 12 countries now that have this. So if you see that red button there on our page, then you can actually register for IELTS from home, from the comfort of your own house, okay? If you don't see it, it's probably because they don't have it in your country yet. So you'll have to check that. All right. Okay. Let's hop back to this reading. By the way, that was, if you're curious, that was a New Zealand accent. So that was a nice, thick Kiwi accent. And you do have to be ready for it. You might hear that even in the listening section, of course, on the IELTS. You don't have this for reading. So hopefully you were reading along. Okay. And now we'll get into it. So I'm going to actually take some volunteers to answer these questions. Okay. So we're going to work on these together. Let's converse about this a little bit. So let's get some volunteers on the line. For this, you want to go to our website, ahelp.com. Sarah, if you could just put the instructions into the chat for us, that would be great to help out people here. Okay, so the first step, everybody, is go to the website here. I'm going to just copy that in like that. Okay, and then once you're on the website, again, you want to click on that big red button to create a premium account, or the green button to just try it out. And then you're going to click on this student partner speaking. So lots of tools here for you to improve your skills for the IELTS. So the student partner speaking, you accept the terms, and then you're going to be in this chat interface here. We've got Pima, Domenico, and lots of others. You'll see me in here too. I'm going to be listed as master. It's easy to identify, all capital letters like that, okay? Send me a message with the blue envelope that's beside my name. Click on it, say I'd like to volunteer, and then we'll get going on it, okay? So let's do this. All right. We haven't heard from Chayani in a bit, so let's reach out to Chayani here. And Chayani was a longtime member of our channel and a very studious person. Chayani, are you ready? And we'll discuss this passage a little bit. Okay. If you're there, Chayani, let me know. And we'll talk about the passage for a moment. Hi,
Hello,
Chayani.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, happy Friday. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I have to recover from high fever 2 days ago.
Oh no. Yeah, unfortunately it's just everybody's getting sick. It's terrible. I've got something too, but I'm trying to dodge it this time. All right, Chayani, well, I'm happy
And how
to hear
about you,
you're better.
sir?
I'm doing good right now. So far, so good. But I can kind of feel something in my throat that's got me a bit worried. So hopefully, it won't get me. Hopefully. Lots of vitamins, right? Lots of vitamins. All right. So Yanni, have you been following from the beginning, or at least from the start of the passage? Yeah.
Yeah, I followed the previous class, even though I'm not a member, because
Okay.
there is an issue.
Yeah, Google, right? Hard to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chayani, we're reading a passage here, right? And a lot of people, a lot of candidates, but it's not just for IELTS, it's for other reading in school as well. I hear this all the time when somebody says, I read the passage, I know the words, I understand what I'm reading, I finish the passage, and I forget what I read. Right? And then they're like, and I have to search for all of the answers again. Do you know this situation, what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. I get emails on it all the time. Like, Adrian, I read the passage, I'm fast enough, and then suddenly all the information is gone. Chayani, what do you think is a good kind of strategy to avoid that situation?
What situation? Sorry.
Can you say that again?
What situation? Sorry.
Critical. I can't catch what you're saying, the word. Can you slow it down?
What situation?
Oh, what situation? I mean, like, how do you remember what you're reading? So what kind of a strategy can you use to remember what you're reading so that you don't forget it and remember the order of what you're reading?
Read overall of the passage. I usually do that.
It's simpler than that. Maybe somebody in the chat is giving us some advice here. So what should you do? Raquea says visualization. Exactly.
Imagine or visualization.
Yeah. So you want to visualize it, not just imagine it, but really visualize it, right? So actually see it. And when you're doing that, you want to be a part of it. So become a part of it. So in this case, Chayani, what could you see? So what can you possibly see in your head when you're reading this passage?
Sorry?
What should you see? So what should you see in your mind's eye, in your head? What should you imagine when you're reading this passage?
Just pretend that I'm in that situation. Just like a third person.
Sure. So can you give me a specific explanation or example for this passage?
I'm stuck.
All right. So let me help you a bit. So when I'm reading this, right, in this first paragraph, I imagine myself as a stick man. Okay. And I'm giving money. Excuse me. See, there's that. So here we go. I'm giving money. There's the money. Now let me try to do this a little bit nicer here. So here we go. So here I am. I'm a stick man and I'm giving money. There's the money. And it's not good. So that's what's being introduced here in the first paragraph, right? So it's not good for many reasons. Okay. So times why. Okay, so I'm picturing this. Now, in paragraph B, what did we read, Chayani?
What? Sorry?
In paragraph B, what did we read about? What was the main topic of B?
mostly talk about the breast cancer.
Yes, absolutely. So what do we see there? Well, probably, and no need to be shy in IELTS, we probably see a woman. So we see a woman, the features of a woman, right? And research that's associated with breast cancer. Okay, so we visualize that. Okay, what did we visualize in paragraph C?
In paragraph C, what I visualized? Sorry, sir, I don't remember.
Ah, see, there's the I don't remember. Paragraph C. So when I was visualizing the first part, and this is where you want to connect, right? So the visualizing the first part, it was, remember I said the introduction, so not giving money, right? So here's the little stick man. Let me try to get that stick man back here. So there's the little stick man. I'm not giving money, okay? So this is A, right? Paragraph A. And then breast cancer is paragraph B, okay? And then paragraph C is I am on the continent of Africa, because Africa is usually where people think when they think of, third world countries or countries that are still developing. So paragraph C was talking about how giving money to people in poor countries actually disempowers them, right? And then what was paragraph D about?
The donation in Haitian.
That's right, the Haitian donation of rice. So there we have rice, okay? And that was paragraph D, right? Okay.
Right.
And then what was paragraph E about?
I didn't get it.
Paragraph E was quite interesting. What was that about? It was saying that the author's not telling you don't give money to charity, right? So the author said, I'm not telling you don't give money to charity or giving money to charity is bad. I'm telling you to really think about where you're giving your money, right? So that was where, it's actually good. So that was paragraph E, okay? So you want to be able to create this connected visual scheme in your head when you're reading, so that you don't waste a whole bunch of time or many minutes searching for information. Okay, Chayani, you see what I'm saying here?
Oh, okay, I got it, sir.
You got it? You're following me?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm following you.
All right. Okay. If you're not visualizing it, if you're not seeing it, the brain is not going to remember it. The brain has so much information these days coming from so many places like Facebook, Instagram, and millions of other sources that it literally will just kind of shut out information that is not strongly emphasized through vision, through connection. Okay. All right. So now let's jump to these questions. Can you read number 14 for me for this matching the question to the correct paragraph?
Okay. Number 14, the false portrayal of people in third world countries.
Good. Which paragraph is that?
I think there's kind of like a C, if I'm wrong.
Absolutely, you're right, because you remember that visualization, right? Remember how
Yeah.
I drew the picture of not giving money, then I drew the picture with not giving money having breasts, and then I drew the picture of not giving money having breasts with the continent of Africa, right? So it was the third one, and if we count, it's A, B, C, right? So clearly it makes sense that it's C,
Yeah.
right? Read the next one.
The unseen negative effects of donating
Donating food, right?
food. Okay.
All right, which paragraph was that?
Between D or E.
Where did I have a bag of food in my hand?
I think it's D. I don't know.
D. Yes, don't say I don't know. You know. It's D. It's the Haitians, right? I'm holding the bag of food. Look at everybody in the chat saying it's D. Raquea says it's D. CR7, Akira, Chen, Fong are all like, it's D. You're giving rice to the Haitians and it's causing a problem, right? It's the donating of food. Okay, number 16. Can you read that one for me?
The unethical nature of some research.
Okay. Which one is that?
Okay, let me think for also. I think it's between D or
What kind of research are we talking about here? So let's keep it
oh,
simple. What
it's
kind
E. It's E.
Whoa, slow down, Chani. What kind of research are we talking about here?
Let's talk about the charity research.
What kind of research?
Charity.
No, we don't research charity. Charity is just charity. But there's definitely something else that we spend a lot of money researching that's mentioned in this passage. You know this, Chayani. What is it? Think. It's there. It's in the visualizations. If you're not sure, check the chat. You can cheat a little bit. You can look at the chat and see what your peers are trying to say.
Breast cancer.
Right, of course. Simple thoughts, Chinese. Simple thoughts, right? Breast cancer research. All right, where do we talk about breast cancer research?
It's B.
In B, right? That's where the little money stick man had the breasts added, right? So it's definitely B. Now, let's say that I'm not sure, Chani. So let's say I'm like, well, okay, Adrian, you're cool. You know the answer, but how am I so sure that this is the answer? Okay, Chani. Well, we can do a little bit of skimming and scanning when we're not sure. So we know that it's probably B, right? So you should never skim and scan randomly. It's crazy to try to skim or scan the entire passage. That just is really ineffective. So you have to know at least where to start. And so here you said, okay, well, it's probably breast cancer research, so probably B. So I'm going to scan a little bit there. And if you're scanning paragraph B or skimming paragraph B, what should you skim read for? What should you scan for to check and see and make sure that that's the right place?
Getting the keyword.
Yeah, what keyword would you be looking for in paragraph B from this number 16?
Exactly, breast cancer and.
Well, breast cancer won't necessarily help you with this particular question. Your keyword should always be a word in the question. So what
research?
Is it? Research, probably not the best choice, Chani, because it's a very common word and you might find the word research in 4 or 5 different places. What is a more unique term in this case?
Negative.
No. You're using don't believe everything that you see in the chat. No, but the word is in the chat, by the way. It's unethical, right? Unethical is the unique word that you're looking for here. So let's just hop back. So, let's say, okay, Adrian, I just want to make sure. I'm not 100% here. It could be in the conclusion maybe or the introduction, okay? So we're going to look at paragraph B and see if we can find the word ethical in here. So here's paragraph B. We're flying along looking for unethical, right? And we can't see it. We don't see it. And see, this is the problem with skimming and scanning, is that you might have to do quite a bit and waste a lot of time, but you want to check, and you're not checking all the time, so you've got a little bit of extra time here. And we keep going, and I can't see the word. I keep going, and here I see ethically. Okay, so it's not unethical, but it's ethical. Okay, now read the sentence for me, Chayani.
Ethically, the answer is no.
What is that basically saying?
Sorry?
It's basically saying it's unethical.
It's unethical.
Right? So ethically, the answer is no equals unethical, right? Yes, exactly. Yeah. So here we do have that word unethical. So we can kind of check what's before and what's after. And we can see, should research laboratories really be spending hundreds of millions of pounds on merely extending a sick person's life? Ethically, the answer is no. So it's a really long way to say the unethical nature of some research, right?
Right.
So we've got B there for us. Okay. All right, Chayani, so that's how you do it, okay? If you visualize and you put it together like that, believe me, it becomes a lot simpler. But you have to do that. And when you're practicing at home, Chayani, you've done some IELTS reading passages, right?
Yeah, right.
Have you ever drawn pictures while you're reading?
Sometimes I can imagine in my mind because.
Have you ever physically drawn the picture? Like, have you ever actually taken a pencil and a piece of paper and drew a little stick man like I just did?
Never, sir. Sorry.
That's what you want to do, okay, Chinese? So what I want you to practice, and this is a really important tip for everybody, is actually do that, okay? So read, draw a stick man, force your brain to see it. Our brain doesn't always see pictures as clearly as we want it to, but when we draw it on paper, then yes. And then you train your brain, okay, Chinese? So over the next couple of weeks, Chani, and definitely before your IELTS exam, I want you to read passages, take a blank piece of paper with a pencil, and draw pictures, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay. And you'll become a better artist too, Chinese. So there's, double win. Right?
Yeah, I wish.
Okay. All right. Thanks for helping me, Chayani.
Sir, I have a question.
Go for it.
How to manage my time while answering the question, especially in the headings? Matching headings and
it's connected to what we're doing right now. So managing your time well means that you're not spending more than an average of 40 to 45 seconds per question. Okay.
Yeah.
You should not. So if you are sitting on a question for 5 minutes trying to figure it out, that is absolutely wrong. Okay. And the only way that you can spend an average of 40 seconds on a question is by having at least a 70% clear understanding of the text. And to have a 70% clear understanding of the text, you need to include visualization to read. So all of what we're doing right now is really connected to that time management. Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Practice those drawings. Practice those drawings, Chiny, and I guarantee you that within a couple of weeks, you're going to notice that you become much faster at answering those questions, and your time management will improve. Okay?
Yes, sir. Because time management is my main problem. That I always keep the latest question, especially in the part 3.
Yeah. So
in the practice.
Yeah. So again, the biggest reason for that is because students are just randomly trying to search for the answers instead of strategically answering the questions. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes just one of the stock question that is very hard.
And if you're spending more than a minute on a question, skip it. Go to the next one and then come back to it at the very end, because some of the answers that come later might actually help you with that question. So don't spend 5 minutes on the second question, because once you've answered the third, fourth, fifth question, that might actually help you to figure out that second question. So if you've spent a minute on a question and you can't figure it out, go to the next one. Okay?
Okay, sir. I get it.
All right. Okay. Bye, Chayani.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Bye.
All right. That was Chayani, and that was great. Let's take somebody else. Let's take Object. What an interesting handle. Object, are you ready? Let's chat with Object. And thanks, Iqbal and Masanate, for giving thumbs up for Chayani. She deserves it. And, I'm very comfortable talking with Chayani, so I'm really encouraging her and challenging her to answer. All right, Object, here we go. Hello, Object.
Hello, sir.
First question, would you like me to continue calling you Object, or is there another nickname or name that you would like me to use?
Please refer me as Ming.
Ming. Okay, Ming. Thank you for volunteering. Can you tell everybody where you are in the world right now?
I come from Vietnam, the metropolitan city, Hanoi.
In Hanoi, Vietnam. Okay, Ming. All right. So let's do this. Have you been following the class? Did you do the reading with us?
I'm quite I just get in the class.
You just got in here. All right. Well, you might need some help from your classmates then, but that is okay. here we go. Can you read number 17 for us? This statement here.
I read that.
Yes.
Charity can increase poverty instead of decreasing it.
Okay, charity can increase poverty instead of decreasing it. Good. So here we have to figure out, Ming, which paragraph this statement is coming from. And now that's going to be a little bit tricky if you weren't here with us in the reading, but maybe we can do a little bit of cheat here and look at the chat. So what do you think, everybody? Where is this information coming from? Can anybody help me?
D.
You think it's paragraph D? Okay, what does paragraph D talk about?
That's the part I have heard about the rice come to Haiti people and they make the local food industry go down.
And what does, yes, okay, and then what does that lead to?
Leads to numerous effect to decrease people income.
Yes, because they lose their jobs, right? So the Haitian farmers lose their jobs. So they become poor, right? So they become poor. Very nice. So you were here for a bit of that reading. Very good. And good visualization. Absolutely. So we see that answer again, D. All right. Number 18. Read that one for me, please.
Finding queues does not earn money for companies.
Okay. And which paragraph deals with that? Finding cures does not earn money for companies.
I think it's the breast cancer from B.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So the paragraph talks about finding treatments instead of finding cures, so instead of healing people. Really good. All right, great. So you are doing a great job, Ming. So you've been with us there for a while. Let's jump to the next set of questions here. The completing the sentence below. Okay, so this is the short answer. You always want to read the instructions carefully. Can you read the instructions for us?
Complete the sentence below. Choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer.
Okay, good. Now, when you see this, Ming, in the IELTS exam, it usually means that at least 1 or 2 answers will require 2 words from the text. And the IELTS does want to see the exact words that are in the text. So you want to find the exact same words. In rare cases, they might take a synonym that's mentioned in the text as well, but they want the exact words. So we want to check these and make sure that we have the right words. Now, because we already know what each paragraph is about, because, and this is the reason why in the IELTS, when you look at the questions, almost always they will have this which paragraph contains the following information as the first set of questions. There's logic for that. The reason they do that is because when you do a good job with these questions and you know the structure of the passage, then the fill in the blanks questions becomes much easier because you know where you have to look to check those answers. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sir.
Okay. All right. So let's do it. Number 19, can you read that one for us?
Why charity is considered an intrinsic good by many people, although its effectiveness.
Okay, good. Ming, so what would you guess is the answer here? So if you had to guess, if I said, you could win $1 million if you guess this correctly, what would you guess is the missing word here?
I just guessed its locations. I think it's in the first paragraph, but
I think you're right. That's going to be my second question, but there's logic that I'm following here, so you're kind of jumping ahead of me. Before we look for the location, guess what it's possibly. So what is the possible answer here? What would you, if you can't look at the passage again, what would you guess goes in here?
I think it's maybe a guild.
Yeah, so Yeah, and Akira in the chat agrees with you. So Akira says argue, Himani says doubt, right? So if you think argue, and if you can think of a couple words, that's even better. So argue or doubt, it's going to be some kind of verb, somebody said, which Iqbal said it's got to be a verb. So good, argue or doubt. And we want to find the right word. So you said, okay, I know it's location, and you said it's the first paragraph, which is the introduction, right? Okay.
Yes.
So the right strategy here for this type of question when you're doing the real test is you want to first think of the words that you think fit well into that blank based on what you read and its location. And then now you can cleverly go back and kind of look for those words or their synonyms, right? So you jump back to paragraph 1 and then you look for something that's similar to doubt or argue. Can you find the word?
I think it's the argue.
Yeah, from here, right? Some people argue. So I'm skim reading with you. That's why I was quiet as well. So some people argue that giving to cancer does little. Meanwhile, others argue that giving to humanitarian aid, right? So argue would be a good word here. Okay, we don't see the word doubt as the word. Okay, though we sometimes cast a doubtful eye towards the practice of charity. So we do see doubtful eye, and that means that in this case, I would put the word argue because that's the clear word. However, if you put doubt, IELTS would probably take it in this case as well because they're used as synonyms in here. So sometimes you see that, and when you're doing your practice exams in the answer sheet, they'll go doubt/argue. Okay, so either one of those, and you don't want to spend more time on this question. So you just choose one, don't put both, never put two. So choose one, choose argue, and leave it, and then move on. Okay, all right, number 20.
Companies have to make products that are more profitable.
Mm-hmm. What do you think might be the word that comes in here?
Some queue.
Have a queue to make products? I don't know.
Or some ways, some solutions.
Some solutions to make products that are profitable? Yeah, maybe.
Or some idea, initiative. I don't know.
Ideas, maybe. I would probably put the word desire in here myself. So companies have a desire, a wish to make products that are profitable, right? If I'm a company, then it's like I have a dream, right? Like I want to make the perfect IELTS course for you so that we can be helping people and be profitable. So a desire, a wish, a dream, right? A strategy, maybe something like that. All right, and Ming, which paragraph would we most likely find this information?
I think follows
which paragraph?
Flow, I think it's on the B.
Yeah, right, because B talks about breast cancer and talks mostly about companies that are making treatments to make money, right? So you're right. Very clever, Ming. So paragraph B. Okay, so let's look at paragraph B. And then here it is. I'll let you reread this one. Let me know when you think you get to the correct answer. So go ahead and read B from the most well-funded. So Ming, whenever you're ready, just read from the most well-funded.
The answer is financial incentive.
Oh, you just read it quietly. I was hoping you'd read it loudly. I was like, why are you not reading? But you were reading. You were just reading quietly. We can't see in your brain, Ming. We can't see in your brain. You got the right answer, but I was hoping that you would read aloud and then stop at financial incentive, which is fine. You got the correct answer. It is financial incentive. So yes, and everybody who else who got here, and stop there. Hopefully you realize that, okay, that's the right answer. So see, we are doing a bit of skim reading or scanning here. And of course, in the real IELTS exam, you're reading quietly. Otherwise, you will get kicked out of the exam. If you start going, the most well-funded cancer research by far, hey guys, it's financial incentive, then they'll kick you out. But for practice, when you're practicing with us and with other people, definitely reading aloud is good. Okay, so financial incentive, yes, you're right. So it's a 2-word answer. Remember what I said about 2-word answers? So here we need that 2-word answer. So companies have a financial incentive to make products that are profitable. So Ming, you're doing fantastic. This is exactly what you want to do in your real test. You want to know where you're looking. You want to have an idea of what you're looking for, a rough idea of what you're looking for before you start looking for it. And this is an important message for everybody. You should never just randomly look for information. Ming, did you have any questions with the reading section?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Ming, good job. You get a thumbs up.
Okay.
That was flawless. Have an
Thank you,
awesome
sir.
rest of the day. You're welcome. Bye for now.
Oh, bye-bye.
All right. That was good. Ming was great. Andrew says, they can kick me out, but at least I'll help candidates with one question. No, Andrew, you know what? If somebody does that, what they will probably do is retest everybody. I know that sounds hardcore, but if somebody were to yell out the answers in the middle of the exam, they would definitely penalize that person severely. And maybe you could never take the IELTS exam again, but they would actually, unfortunately, probably get everybody else to hand in their papers and redo the test. Yeah. So they wouldn't just be like, oh, okay, it's 2 freebies for everybody. No. IELTS is too strict for that. So yeah, that's why if your exam marks, if you don't get your marks online in 2 days and you don't see your certificate in the mail in 10 days, there might be an investigation going on because maybe they think somebody might have cheated on the test. And if they think one person cheated on the exam during that exam session, they will hold the marks for everybody from that session for up to 4 or 5 weeks while they investigate what happened. Okay. And you might think that's harsh, but it makes sense because there are doctors, lawyers, and people with some very important jobs taking this exam. And if they cheat and they get into a situation where somebody's life depends on them speaking English, you want them to make sure that they can speak English, right? So there's logic there, people. There's logic there. All right, let's take somebody else. Alexander. We haven't heard from Alexander in a while. Let's check out what's going on with Alexander. Alexander, are you ready for doing a few questions together? Yes? No? Yeah? Maybe? All right. Hi, Alexander.
Hi there.
I hear you now. How are you?
Just a second.
No worries. Check what's going on.
Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, I just switched off YouTube.
Right, yeah, it's tricky when you've got audio going on multiple channels. Alexander, are you ready to help me out with a couple more questions on this topic of charities?
I'll do my best.
All right, it's all I ask for. It's all I ask for. All right, so let's go to question 21 here. Okay, go ahead and read question 21 for me, please.
98.5% of money donated to curing breast cancer actually goes towards finding treatments which only enlarge a patient's life but do not cure them.
So you think it's enlarge?
Or
Okay, sure. Let's stick with that. It's no problem. You don't have to waste time on coming out with the perfect answer or with a lot of different answers. Now, here's a little tip for everybody. Okay, when you see a number, and this type of question, you have to remember that all of this information is somewhere in the passage, right? So we definitely are going to see all of this information somewhere in the passage. Alexander, did we see this number, 98.5% of money? Did we see that in the passage, 98.5?
I think yes. I'm not sure exact number, but some kind of big number was provided, had been provided.
There was, and there was, so it wasn't actually 98.5. IELTS has this kind of tricky paraphrasing, right? Remember what I said? It's all about the paraphrasing, right? So it didn't actually say 98.5. How much is missing from 100? Samra got it in the chat there real quick. Andrew got it too.
Finding treatments which only enlarge patient life.
What was the number? What was the number? It wasn't 98.5 that we saw, but we saw the
95, I think.
We saw the inverse. We saw the inverse, Alexander. We saw 1.5.
1.5. Okay.
Right? Remember 1.5? Because it was the paraphrase. So here it's 98.5% of money donated to curing breast cancer goes towards finding treatment. And then in the passage it actually says 1.5% of money donated goes towards healing, not treatments, right? So here, if we're quick and clever, then we're like, okay, I'm not looking for the 98.5. I'm looking for that 1.5%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's jump back to paragraph B again. And then can you find that 1.5% somewhere?
We have 97%.
Don't worry about that because that's not 98.5. It has to be the 1.5. Okay.
Yes, 1.5 we see it. Oh, that money goes actually finding a cure for breast cancer.
Okay, good. So now we know that the answer is somewhere around this 1.5% number. So what I always recommend to students is that you want to jump back at least 1 to 2 sentences. So here you do want to jump back to this as it turns out. So go ahead and read from as it turns out.
As it turns out, 97%. Oh, can you you return back?
Keep going.
Just a second. As it turns out, 97% of money that actually contributes to breast cancer research, that is not counting a charity's operation costs, for example, is spent on treatments that merely extend a patient's life. So extend.
Okay, so you got it. So you know you got it. Now, when you have it, and this is important, and this is a very important advice for everybody, when you think you've got the answer, like Alexander just said, the answer is extend. Keep going. So keep finishing the sentence because you might get another answer or an even better answer. So you should always finish what you're reading. So keep going, Alexander.
Extend a patient's life by a matter of weeks. Given that charity overhead is often 50% or more, the math works out like this. For every 100 pounds given towards finding a cure for breast cancer, only 1.5 pounds or 1.5% of that money goes actually finding a cure for breast cancer.
Okay, good. So you've read it. Now you're confident that the answer is extend, and so you can go back to the question and you can put it in, right? So, which only extends a patient's life, but do not cure them, okay? All right, next one, Alexander, number 22.
The author argues that the practice of spending money on extending sick people's lives is because they should be finding a cure instead.
Okay.
The author argues But the practice of spending money on extending sick people lives is because we should be funding is
Keep it simple. What should you put in there?
Is good.
The author argues that the practice of spending money on sick people's lives is good. I don't think he argues that it's good, because and the second part here tells me that too, because they should be finding a cure instead.
Is reasonable or is wise?
Is bad, I would say.
Is bad.
Is bad. Yeah, bad or wrong, right?
But he argues it's good.
No.
Argues.
No, he doesn't, Alexander. He says it's bad, it's wrong. We can check. Okay, we can go back and let's take a look. So let's we don't have to argue about it, Alexander. The proof is in the words. So
I mean he argues that it's good. He thinks it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Sure.
He read from here again. So the end of the paragraph. Okay, so we're still here in B. Read from should research.
Should research laboratories really be spending hundreds of millions on pounds on merely extending a sick person's life? Ethically, the answer is no. Instead, they should be spending that money on actually trying to find a cure, so that the sick person does not merely have to tortures weeks longer to endure, but decades of vibrant, healthy life ahead of them.
Exactly. So the correct answer here is wrong or unethical.
Unethically, sure.
Based on what we're reading there, okay? All right, Alexander, thank you for helping me. You got a couple of tricky ones there for sure. Definitely, you have to have some deep understanding of that paragraph for these, and I appreciate you helping me out with that. So thank you so much. I hope you have an awesome...
I have a small question.
Yeah, fire away. Go for it.
I'm still not sure how this part of exam will be proceeding. So I will reading same way as we read today with you, or what is the real procedure of reading section?
So the real the real procedure of the reading section happens like this. When you're in the IELTS exam and you're finished your listening section, depending on the paper-based or the computer-based, the experience is a little bit different, but the idea is the same. So the listening section disappears. You no longer have the opportunity to deal with that. And then they start the reading section. For the reading section, they give you 1 hour to complete the entire reading section. They do not give you 20 minutes per passage. It's up to you to decide how much time you spend reading each passage and how much time you spend on each question. Okay? Now, having said that, the average reading passage on the IELTS ranges from 650 words on the low end, this is for the academic, up towards 800 words on the long end, okay, per passage. And the 3 passages total will have 40 questions. So 2 of the passages will have 13 questions, and 1 of the passages will have 14 questions. Rare cases, you might get one passage that has 15 questions, one that has 12, one that has 13. You will see at least 5 to 6 different question types of the possible 11 different question types. You can see more, okay? And the way that you do the reading passage, so theoretically, passage 1 is the easiest. Passage 2 is more difficult. Passage 3 is even more difficult. The way that they increase the difficulty of the passages is content and question type. So passage 1 usually is a more familiar topic for everybody. So like discussion about elephants, for example. Everybody knows about elephants, right? And then passage 3 might be something much more complex, so talking about developmental stages in child psychology, which not everybody knows about. We have kind of an idea, but we don't all know about it. And it's less physical. We can't see it like an elephant, okay? So the content increases in difficulty. I always recommend students to start with the passage that's easiest for them. So if you're a child psychologist and you get a passage on child psychology, and then start with that one, even if it's passage 3, okay? You should always finish one passage before you go to another one. Never jump between passages, although it's allowed, okay? So you can move around to wherever you want. The key is to follow all of these strategies that I'm showing in these reading lessons to go with this proper kind of structure, visualization, critical thinking. And that's the best way to finish within that 1 hour and then have also the highest probability of accuracy. Okay, does that make sense? So, okay, so that's how you want to do it. But always start with the passage that's easiest, and that might not be the first passage for everybody all the time, okay?
Okay, so, but basic question, it's my reading is not be loud reading, like...
No. You read silently. Yeah, no. You read silently. And you know, reading silently in some ways can be even more dangerous because sometimes when people read silently, they really don't pay attention to what they're reading. So they're literally just scanning the words with their eyes, but the information is not being translated into their head. So you have to really practice making sure that you're actually processing the information that you're reading quietly while you're reading. Okay?
Okay, clear. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Bye, Alexander.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, that was Alexander. All right, everybody. I'm going to hop back to our reading passage here and go to this question here. Food aid in Haiti. Let's do this together, everybody. So I want to give everybody a chance to answer these questions together with me. It's the last set of questions. You saw me just check. Coming, of course, from one single paragraph, paragraph D, food aid in Haiti. Now, we have the possible answers here, but don't look at those yet. Always start with your own answers, okay? So let's do it. Read with me. A well-known example of aid gone wrong is the donation of rice in the Caribbean nation of Haiti. The aid began at a time when Haiti was experiencing a food something. What do you think is the word that goes in there? So it's a food something. It's got to be a noun. Food is the adjective. And I'm thinking, okay, not enough food. So what is the way to say not enough food? Samra, Andrew, Raquea, those are all good ideas. So shortage, Raquea says crisis. Okay, shortage or crisis, sure. Now we want to check, is there one that matches? Okay, so if we go down here, do we have shortage in here anywhere? Yeah, we see an exact match right there. That was huge. Right there. Okay. So shortage, so we can go, all right, well, we've got an exact match here. I'm not even going to ponder on this. I'm going to put in the letter B. Make sure that you follow the instructions. Instructions say you choose the correct letter. Okay, and then we keep going. So keep reading. Always read the rest of the sentence. So the aid was well received. There were, however, unseen effects of this intervention. Rice became so prevalent that Haitians started eating it. What goes in there? Again, don't look at the choices. Think on your own first. Started eating it, I would say every day. Every day. All the time. Often. Amanpreet says often. Sure. All right, let's see if we have a match for that. So bankrupt, closely, break daily. That looks good. G. Shortage, weekly, famine, critically. Weekly, no. I think it said they ate it once a week before they got the help, but after they got it, they were eating it almost for every meal. So it's like not just daily, but even probably multiple times a day. So I know that it's G. That's the closest match, right? G. Okay. And then I keep going. Good job, everybody. Raquea, you got it. Jivan, you got it. Akira, nice. Masinate, Iqbal, you got it too. Just make sure that you put the letter and not the word when you're doing the paper-based exam, okay? This resulted in many Haitian farmers going poor. They went poor, maybe? Okay. Going out of work. Another one that comes to mind. Shen and Andrew say bankrupt, maybe? Ooh, look, there it is. It's A. Got that correct, right? Going bankrupt means you no longer have money. You're zero. You're kaputnik. You have nothing. No money left. Maybe just debt. Which put even more people in poverty. Ooh, look at this. Which put even more people in poverty. I think I had a question talking about that earlier. It was this one here. Charity can increase poverty instead of decreasing it. Oh, I see the answer there. Now I'm sure that that's D. Woo-hoo-hoo. Awesome, right? Okay, that's good. Keep that in mind. Sometimes you see answers twice. Sometimes you even see them 3 times in different questions. Okay, so pay attention. All right. So who is benefited by this practice? We must think something before giving to charity. We must think carefully, intelligently, before giving to charity. Kashif says we must think critical. Fong says critically. Okay. H, critically. Hey, that's close enough to intelligently, so let's put H in there. Good for you, everybody who said critically. Okay, awesome. Students, you've done an awesome job today. A lot of work in these 2 classes, in these 2 reading passages, and a lot of information. Make sure to come back and review that. So we covered like 4 or 5 of the possible 11 questions and the different strategies. To cover all of the question strategies, definitely go to our website, aehelp.com. Click on that big red button that's right up there above my head. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate, British Council partner. I'm a certified British Council agent. My degree is in psychology, so I have a pretty good idea of what you need to do to understand, process information, and give correct answers. And you can learn all of that knowledge through your premium IELTS account. For general IELTS students, it's at gieltshelp.com, and you'll find it here. Thank you so much, everybody, for today. We're going to look at speaking tomorrow. So speaking part 2 and part 3 tomorrow at the same time in the day. Sarah, thank you for moderating the chat. Thank you, subscribers, and thank you, members. I hope everybody has an awesome rest of the day. I hope your weekend continues to be fantastic. And make sure to check us out, aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. Help is waiting for you there in the premium package. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here on the southern tip of Vancouver Island in Canada. Much love to all of you wherever you are in the world today. Bye for now.